Happy Tuesday, September the 8th, everybody. I hope that you all had a great Labor Day weekend and you're all rested and ready to go. Just for fun, here's our national day for today. Happy National Ants on a Log Day. Kind of a weird name for celery with, raisins on it, but hey, happy National Ants on a Log Day. So, in the past couple lessons, you've learned some of the basics. You've learned what geography is and who geographers are. You've looked at the different branches of geography, the levels of geography, and then the communities that can be found within those levels. Today, you are going to get to learn about geographers' tools and actually what geographers use to study the Earth. So think for a second, have you ever seen a carpenter building or repairing a house? Or think of like a plumber if they're fixing um, a bathroom somewhere. Or even think about parents building a swing set in a backyard. If you have seen any of these things happen, then you know that builders need so many different tools in order to do their jobs correctly. This is the exact same thing for geographers. They need a multitude of different tools in order to study the world. That way, they know exactly what to share and make sure that what they're sharing is as accurate as possible. So, two tools that they most use are going to be maps and globes. And a map is a flat surface drawing that shows all or part of the earth. So, it's flat. It typically is a piece of paper. Um, you might have seen some actual paper maps, or it can be flat 2D when you think of like your Google Maps, or think of the map that's on your phone. Those are all flat surfaces. A globe is going to be 3D. It is spherical, which means ball shaped, and it's a model of the entire planet. So, flat map, and then 3D is a globe. And you'll typically see these in like classrooms and places like that. But both of them show what the world looks like. However, they have some pretty big differences just because one is 2D and one is 3D. Um, and to understand this difference, the best way to do this is to think about an orange. So the orange kind of represents the globe and things in the earth itself. So it's 3D, it has where all of the different continents are. And then let's say you wanted to then make a map. You're taking a 3D object and making it 2D. So think about this orange over here 3D at first, and then when you peel layers off, if you peel an orange, could you make the peel lie completely flat without messing it up? No, you couldn't. You could not get this to lie remotely flat unless you stretch or tear the peel first. So as you can see, they took it and they tried to lay it flat and they had to stretch and tear some pieces. And it changed the way that the earth looks. And this is the same for maps. So in order to draw a the world on a flat surface, people who make maps have to distort some of the details on the earth. And to distort means to alter. So all maps are a little distorted just because they are taking a round object and making it on a flat surface. So, for example, some things that might be distorted are just some things might look a little farther apart than they really are, or their shape or size might be slightly changed. And this can be seen especially in this square example to the right. The map is a little bit different looking when they're fitting the flat square surface with places like Alaska and Canada. So the different ways of showing the round planet on a flat map are called map projections. There are a bunch of different types of projections because they use different shapes or different views of the Earth to make them. And they really do this because map projections help deal with the distortions that happen. So, in order to best deal with the multitude of distortions, they have different projections to try to make it as accurate as possible. And cartographers are going to use all these different types of projections in order to have the best accurate map as possible. And a cartographer is just the fancy name for a map maker. So that's their official title. A cartographer is a map maker. But again, projections, map projections are the different ways of showing the round planet on a flat map to best deal with the distortions. So, there are so many different types of maps. They have so much more information than globes do, and there are so many different types. And all of these different types kind of fall under three main categories. You have a political map, a physical map, and a thematic map. So, a political map is going to be a map that mainly shows border lines. So, it's showing the borders of states and countries. It's wanting you to see exactly where things are in relation to the other. And it's going to show some of the major cities and capitals and things like that in an area as well. And that's when you see like little stars or the dots where the different cities are. So this is an example of a political map. It is showing all of the different countries, and you can see very clear border lines between all of the different countries, especially when you are looking in smaller areas. You can see even this map is in different colors, so it helps you really see the differences. But this is a political map. It is pretty much only showing the different countries and where they are and how their borders stop with all of the other ones. The next type of map is a physical map. A physical map is like when you think of physical geography, it is showing the physical features of an area. So it's showing the land features like the mountains, the lakes, the rivers. It's showing different elevations. So where there's a really high elevation with mountains or really low elevation with valleys and things. On a physical map, the water is shown in a blue color and land is usually green or brown, and this varies depending on the elevation. So normally flatter land is going to be green, but when you get to the mountain areas, those are going to be more brown. Sometimes you'll see white, especially for areas that are very like polar regions or very like icy and cold. So this is a physical map. As you can see, we've got lots of greens for kind of our lower elevation areas of land. And then as it starts to go up into mountain areas, you've got yellow going into brown. You've got your white regions for really more of the cold areas. All of the water is blue, and you can see the rivers that run through areas are even blue. But it's pretty much labeling where the physical features are. So this even has the mountain ranges listed, it has the deserts listed, all the different oceans and major seas are named. So this is going to be a physical map. It's showing the physical things. And then the last type of map where all the other ones fall into this category are known as thematic maps. And thematic means theme. So a thematic map is showing a specific theme of an area. So it can show like the income or the temperature. It can show agriculture and things like that are grown in certain areas compared to others. It can show birth and death rate, or it can just show fun things. For example, this one is like what each country leads the world in. So maple syrup and asteroid impacts for Canada. Random theme to look at, but this is kind of like a fun thematic map, where this one is showing injury mortality rate for 2008 across the country, or across the world, sorry, which basically means if people get hurt, what's the likelihood of them dying, or what were the numbers of them dying. So again, thematic maps are going to look at themes. They are not going to really look at borders, even though this does have some political borders. They're not really focusing on where those are. It's mainly the injury rate. Again, with this, it's looking at the fun things that each country leads the world in. So thematic is a theme. Another tool that geographers use are satellite images. So satellites are in space. They are taking pictures and videos of what is going on with the Earth. And geographers can look at these images that satellites take in order to see what an area really looks like from above the Earth. This kind of helps them with the accuracy, so they can look at what an area really looks like in order to be more accurate when they are making maps or when they're explaining what the area is like. They can also use satellite images to see things that we can't see from the planet's surface. So, being in space, the satellite can pick up things that we don't necessarily notice down here on Earth. So, satellites take two types of images. They have true color images, and these show like what a real picture would be like that you would take with your phone. So, showing exactly what an area looks like in real life, more like what we know it to look like, real colors. And then you have infrared satellite images, and they use infrared light to show heat patterns. And this can help with knowing where people are more densely populated. It can look at where agriculture is heavily focused on, things like that. So here's an example of true color images on the left. So this is for Italy. This is what we typically think of as a real picture, what we would think of the earth being like. So vegetation, so trees and things are green, water is blue. Here's an infrared satellite picture. So colors are completely different, but it's showing the different heat patterns. So the vegetation, the heavy vegetation areas in Italy are going to show up as red because they hold a more um, heavy heat pattern than areas that do not have vegetation. So it's really showing kind of where things are located in terms of heat patterns. So same areas, two different images. And then some other tools that can be used are things that we don't really think about, but they are very important tools for geographers. They have a lot of different computer programs, and these programs can help them update, create, and compare maps or just collect data. They have different measuring devices that they use to record distances and things to really know how far apart things are or where things are located. And then also, in some cases, we've talked about this before, but one of the best tools geographers can use is just a notebook and tape recorder, because one of the really important things for a geographer to do is to talk to other people and find out what life is like and where things are. So it's sometimes best to just talk to people and figure things out. Okay, so you just completed step one for today, where you took part in the mini lesson. Your next steps are to look back through the Google Slides that was gone over during the video, just so you can know if you missed anything. There is a PDF of a Newsella article that might be some extra help if you want to look at that. And then you need to complete Google Form um, assignment number 3. It is on Google Classroom, and this is a formative for today. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.